I say it again, you've been had. You've been duped. You've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok. This is what he does. I'm going to tell you like it really is.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Take 5, the podcast where we pick a cinema legend, take 5 of their films that hide their excellence and range. My name is Austin Luger.
My name is Eric Martindale.
And we are here with a new 5. We are going to be covering the films of Spike Lee, beginning with Do the Right Thing, going to Mo Better Blues, Malcolm X, 25th Hour, and then finishing up with this brand new film, BlackkKlansman. To the time of recording, isn't even out yet.
Mm-hmm.
But first we're starting off with his probably still his best known film, 1989's Do the Right Thing. Nominated for the Palme d'Or, it tells the story of one very hot summer day in Brooklyn as tensions kind of keep rising for everybody. It primarily follows Mookie, who works at Sal's Pizzeria, a place that's owned by an Italian family, and also following
a bunch of people that grew up in Brooklyn and the surrounding areas. And the irony is this Italian guy is white, an Italian guy feeding the black people of the local area.
Exactly.
Right?
And because you also have a Korean grocery shop.
Right, exactly. So you have the Korean people feeding them across the street, and then Sal's Pizzeria on the other side of it. So there are no black businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people in the neighborhood include Ozzie Davis, who plays the mayor, Ruby Dee.
Love the mayor.
The mayor's great. Everyone loves the mayor.
It's great.
Even Sal loves the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Giancarlo Esposito plays a guy named Buggin' Out.
I mentioned Ruby Dee as well, and I love her. She's one of the best
She's
actors of all time.
awesome.
I love her. I'm sorry, I have a special heart for her. She's Mother Abigail on the stand, so.
I have also the weirdest, I always think of her just the one line from American Gangster. A completely forgettable film, except for when Denzel Washington goes, "That's your house!" Because he bought her house.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And she loves it.
It is the most forgettable film ever.
We also have Bill Nunn, who plays Radio Rahid, who...
I love Radio Rahid.
Everyone loves Radio
His
Rahid.
characters are great.
And, Martin Lawrence just being there.
Mm-hmm.
You go, wow, that's...
Martin Lawrence playing Martin Lawrence.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So you have the story of all these people kind of going about their day, and just the hotter it gets, the more frustrated people are with just everything they didn't even know they were frustrated about, it feels.
That's fair.
This movie is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
It is one of those films that can punch you so powerfully in the gut, but also fun to watch. It is such a weird blend of how powerful that can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can I jump off
Absolutely.
here? Yeah, so it's funny, this is the great American, epic about race, I feel like. I feel like this is an issue, or this is a topic of a lot of films, and most recently as far as, achieving that status of what people believe is, Crash. There's no way I was going to not talk about Crash in this movie. See, Crash is a movie where all the characters are anti-stereotype, but the problem is that all of them are those stereotypes, and I don't know if that's part of what the point was trying to be made or what, but...
I don't think so. I think...
Then it's ridiculous. It's more of a satire than...
I feel the same way about The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, exactly. It's anti-stereotype, yet we're all stereotypes, right? Mm-hmm. And this film is... and it's funny, because, Crash wins Best Picture, and you have this movie from... I think it comes out in 1989. Doesn't win Best Picture. I believe Driving Miss Daisy won in 1989.
Spike Lee is still very mad about that.
Well, he should be, because this is that great movie. And I think what the charm and what works so well about this film, other than the characters, which are all so incredible, is that somehow the movie manages to be very much a grand indictment of racism, while also, but not just racism at large. It's just more of an attack on tribalism and communities, and the way people sort of this work of collectivism sort of puts people into groups. And what's so amazing about that is he's able to criticize these things while remaining fair. I mean, it's the most fair movie about race I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Rather than just showing stereotypes, you actually are able to show three-dimensional characters who have legitimate complaints about legitimate things. And that, to me, was the most interesting, and how it was able to strike that balance. And I'm a different race than Spike Lee, so I feel like I felt that way about the film. Mm-hmm. So I feel like all white people should feel that way about the film. I can't speak that way for all white people, but that is how I felt. It just seemed like it just seems like a perfect movie, not just in its execution, not just in the story, the characterization, but in how it reaches into this thing that's just so gross to talk about racism, and yet somehow is able to talk about it fair, openly, and honestly, and in a conversation that people have a lot of trouble having a fair, open, honest conversation about now. This movie does it so well. Almost cried watching the movie.
It's amazing.
So,
And as we do for every episode, we are going to be spoiling the whole film. So if you just got 5 minutes into a Do the Right Thing podcast and haven't seen it, pause now.
Yeah, don't go any further. I would recommend actually watching this film. Don't let anyone spoil this film for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's such a, to me, Sal's Pizzeria and Mookie is the great, push and pull of what is said and undersaid racism, right? What kind of starts the domino effect to get towards the riot is kind of with Giancarlo Esposito's character bugging out, being so upset there aren't any black faces on the Hall of Fame, the Wall of Fame, in Sal's Pizzeria. And Sal's reaction is, buy your own business and you can put whoever you want on the wall. And on one hand you go, okay, it is his establishment, he can put what's on the wall, but also he's ignoring the fact that he still sees himself as someone who's completely profiting off this community.
Yes.
Every single customer in the place is black from that neighborhood. And yet he still kind of feels this demanding sense of he is not part of the community. This is my island in this, and yet I profit off all you guys. And that is closer to what Bugging Out is actually kind of going for. But he's just so frustrated on this surface level thing, which kind of just keeps cutting at these deeper issues. And Mookie is someone who I think is such a brilliant character because I almost don't think he fully understands all the reasons why he's frustrated. He knows that this is a frustrating job in many ways, especially when to deal with Sal's son, played by John Turturro. But it is just kind of there's always this underline of not being respected. And that affects, it's such a cyclical way of well, why aren't you working hard? Because you don't respect me. That's going on here. But I think what causes Mookie to throw the trash can? What was there one moment that caused it to happen? To me, it's just the idea when he says he's going to make Sal and Sons, and Mookie is never ever going to be considered a son, and that just kind of fits into the same. This restaurant is here to profit off you, but never be part of what you're doing. And it's remarkable how well that's done, and also how well Spike Lee acts in his own film. It is so hard to act in a film you're directing.
Right, I imagine that being really difficult. Yeah, I mean I think that's the hard hurdle for. There's going to be a lot of, I guess, and this is a tribute to Spike Lee, but a lot of hard honesty in these conversations we're going to have about his films. I think that's probably the biggest hurdle for white people to clear, honestly, is that Mookie throws a trash can.
Yeah.
Mookie starts a riot. I mean, that happens. So the question is, did Mookie start the riot? I mean, that's debatable,
I would
too.
say no.
No one person started the riots. I guess
the death.
Right, the death. And I guess the inciting incident that probably burns down Sal's Pizzeria specifically may have been the trash can. I mean, they all pause, then he throws the trash can. And then the big question is, did he do the right thing? I saw a really funny, I don't remember where I read this, but I saw Spike Lee said that, he frequently gets asked, did Mookie do the right thing by throwing the trash can to the window? Did he do the right thing? So the funny thing is that he's never asked that by any person of color. Only white people ask him, did Mookie do the right thing?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the hardest hurdle to clear. But I think it's also a direct result of all the things that I've talked about how, when push comes to shove and things get really nasty, people tend to retreat into their own groups. I'm not saying that's what Mookie did here. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's something to think about. But it's certainly what Sal did.
Absolutely.
And Sally, he's that weird, dangerous type of, what's that word? It's kind of that thing they kind of get at and get out, where you have this people that on the outside is like, oh, I love this community, I fed these people, I grew up with these children.
I would have voted for Obama a third time.
I would have voted for Obama a third time, right. And then at the end of it, he's, using the N-word, and then that's a line, oh, now I'm an N-word, now you're saying that about me. And that's tough. I mean, that's really tough, because I like Sal. That's tough. Yeah. It's tough to see someone I like behave like that.
Absolutely. I think that's something that Get Out gets into, and also Don Glover's great video of This Is America, of we kind of open and embrace these kind of different aspects when we can profit off it, or until it becomes too icky. And something that a scene I like a lot in this movie is when it's insanely hot. This and 12 Angry Men are the hottest movies ever. It's like you're sweating while you're watching air conditioning.
I love that it takes place in one day, just like 12 Angry Men, same thing.
Because it has to just keep boiling, right? If you take a nap, actually, then you can settle down, but it's just always there. And at one point, they bust open a fire hydrant and just enjoy the water. And this guy is in his car, and he just kind of keeps screaming at these people, saying, "You better not get my car wet."
What's that actor, too? What's that actor?
I forget who it is.
Yeah, the guy always gets beat up by Joe Pesci in movies that just died recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he gets beat up by him in Raging Bull. He's the guy in Goodfellas that they put in the trunk. Go get your shine box. He's that guy.
That guy was never the lead romantic comedy.
Well, he ends up getting his revenge in Casino when he kills Joe Pesci.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Full circle.
Revenge, yeah.
Well, this one, he's just such a jerk, because no one is antagonizing him. But he just sees there's water in the street and just keeps yelling at people, "Do not put water in my car, don't put water in my car, do not do it." Just kind of keep yelling at them. So, of course, they're going to do it after all this kind of thing.
Yeah, and they probably would have left him alone, but yeah.
And what I thought was so remarkable, and this isn't just their independent film is what they had to do, the roads are open behind him. He could go down any street he wants, but he has this kind of claim over a street that is not his. It's very much literally their street of, you must do it my way. And I'm going to get mad at you. I'm going to call the cops on you if you don't do it my way. And that is such a kind of early foreshadowing of kind of where this is all going. And frustrating, and people just not able to connect at all. Spike Lee, he's such a fascinating filmmaker. And I love when this movie gets kind of very quietly experimental. I love all those talks to the camera.
The racist rats?
The racist
rats.
Yeah, that one where they just you just kind of get everyone's angry under the skin, have to kind of get this out about everyone kind of around me.
Yeah.
And then
it is really cool.
And on the flip side, you also have the famous moment of Brady Rashid talking right to the camera. He's talking to Mookie in that context, but this one he's looking directly at the camera, doing his love and hate speech, which is brilliant. And you ever see that old film, The Night of the Hunter?
I have not. I want to. I know the film you're
really
speaking
cool.
of.
And that one, that's where it originated the whole love and hate.
Oh, cool.
Brass Knuckles.
Knuckles.
That's how you love and hate. But that guy was this villain. This is a child murderer posing as a priest, trying to get money and such, using these as a facade, and not really kind of believing what he's saying. Whereas this is all Radio Shack believes in this duality of love and hate, and it's almost all he can even choose his process around him, because he has the boombox playing so loudly, almost like he can just kind of have this no matter where he goes, and it's a great character.
They are. There's no clear villains here. There's except for probably Sal's oldest son, the John Turturro character, right?
That guy, it's hard for me to see really any real redemption from.
Yeah, he's just a terrible person.
Yeah, because even when he tries to say, "No, I'm not a racist."
Yeah.
That conversation lasts 10 seconds.
I love that conversation he has with Mookie, though, where they're
because he doesn't get it.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He doesn't think he's racist.
Yeah. He's like, well, who's your favorite basketball player?
Yeah.
These are all black people. No, they're not actually black people. They don't count. There's a lot, I think, there to talk about conversation pieces for the black community in there, too, shining light on certain issues that, they might have as a whole, too. So that's where it comes off as kind of, I guess, fair. Because the black guys on the corner are racist towards the Korean family.
Yes.
It's across the street.
So.
They don't like the Koreans there.
And the Koreans don't like them either.
Right? Well, the Koreans also, too, feel like they're assaulted every day by them,
yes.
right? So they have this feeling of they're the same type of duality going on there, right? They feel that they're being accosted constantly. They are used and played off as humor. Mm-hmm. Rather, they're like more of the lighter tones in the movie. But those guys on the corner are decidedly racist towards that family.
And the Koreans, I mean, they're such a small part of the movie, but I always found it so fascinating how quickly they become empathetic for the death of Radio Rashid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they are immediately kind of like part of the actual like street community in a way that Saul and his sons immediately weren't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they just quickly kind of back off, and they really kind of refuse to sympathize because then they would have to admit fault.
Right.
Like, it always feels like no but, whereas the Koreans are instantly there.
Well, that's the whole great part about the movie, right? Like, I couldn't even figure out, really, thinking about it, who caused the riot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
But it felt inevitable.
It felt inevitable, and you could point it probably... It just happened. It's like 5 different things. Yes, the trash can going through the window was a big part, but there was so much leading up to that event.
Yeah.
You know, they came in looking for a fight. He smashed their radio.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he wouldn't put black people up on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it kept... And I mean, really, the whole riot, when you get down to it, the inciting incident for that riot started 30 years ago when he opened up the pizza joint.
Yeah. I love also just how much, middle of the film, that's where Bugging Out kind of decides that he's going to start this protest of styles. And he talks to like his friends and such, and they don't want to.
Yeah, they want this. Yeah.
No, come on, man. Yeah. It's good pizza.
It's good pizza, dude. Everybody well, that's the thing, and I think that's what makes the ending, really sad, is that, I mean, well, one part of it that makes it so sad is that everybody likes Sal in the community.
Mm-hmm.
They still burned his pizza place down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. The only scene, maybe 2 scenes, that take place the next day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Sal's sitting among the rubble and has that great back and forth.
Yeah, the Demare scene, too.
The Demare, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Sal is mourning the fact that, like, you know, this is something I built with my own hands. And Mookie just kind of saying, like, you had insurance.
Yeah.
You're going to rebuild it.
Yeah.
Like, this... It kind of shows, again, how separate it is. Like, it doesn't have, like, the history, the legacy of, like, all these kind of elements. This was... It's not a franchise. This is a franchise thing that will rebuild to be exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
And be the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
And not everyone can, like, repeat that.
Mm-hmm.
When things are lost for some of them, they're lost forever.
Right.
Well,
his memories are lost from that place that he built.
Sure.
But he's going to come back.
Yeah. And it's such a really like difficult conversation because all Mookie wants to do is get paid throughout the day as well. Mm-hmm. It is looking at this idea of I want to be treated fairly. I'm doing this work for money. There is a contract we're going to have in place for this.
Right.
They just won't give him the money.
Well, he also won't deliver the pizzas on time.
Yeah, it's the whole
it's the whole cycle, right? So that's what I mean by the movie is like everything has a yeah, but everything is really fair. Mm-hmm. Mookie may be more apt to take his job more seriously if he actually thought it was going somewhere.
Yeah.
Or if Sal treated him like one of his sons, even though, I mean, Sal loves Mookie. I mean, we see that.
He does, but always like to an extent.
Exactly.
I always see like, you know, you're a son to me, but only in the, you are my employer,
mm-hmm.
my employee. I will never let you rise in the way that I let my sons rise, even though they're terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the youngest son's not terrible.
Well, I mean, like,
he's just stupid.
He's stupid, but I meant terrible. Besides, like, John Turturro is terrible racist.
Yes,
but like, they're not like brilliant employees either.
No.
In fact, they're antagonizing the customers. They're always just be told like, "Hey, go make the pizza."
Yeah,
they're pretty similar to Mookie.
Yeah,
in similar ways.
No, it's true that they get the pass because it's his business or whatever. But I mean, you could just easily say again, Mookie would probably be better if you treated him fairly.
Yeah.
So, and that just keeps going. I really like Mookie. I mean, he's such a fun character to follow, and Spike Lee gives such a great performance. It's amazing, really. Again, considering he directed the film, like it's such a good movie. It's a marvel. Like it's still not. I mean, it definitely has its lexicon amongst film people, but like there's not many people having a conversation about Do the Right Thing right now. It's really sad because it's one of the better movies ever made.
Absolutely, and it feels so remarkably timeless because I totally forgot the timeline when I was watching this movie. It comes out in '89. This is pre Rodney King riots.
It's crazy.
I just assumed this was going to be like, I watched it like, oh, this is so clearly influenced by the Rodney King riots. No, this is like several years before. And even the discussion about, like you talked about earlier, about talking to John Turturro's character of, sure, player Jordan, but no, he's not black.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I just, a year or so ago, watched that O.J. Simpson documentary that won the Oscar, like the 6-hour thing on ESPN. Mm-hmm. And one of the most fascinating things about it, which is when kind of like O.J.'s community was really kind of affected by what he said, was, I'm not black, I'm O.J. Where he kind of saw himself as a post-racial, he's not a black man in a white world, in a white corporate world, he's just O.J. Simpson, like, trademark.
They've had similar issues, I believe, with Tiger Woods, too, in general there. He made comments like, don't call me black, stuff like that, which is weird.
It is, and
it could be, I assume, pretty disheartening for black people to look up to him.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't know. It's again, we start to wade in a territory where I'm in over my head,
me too.
And I'm willing, and I know you are willing to just admit that and say it is.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
And that's kind of the great educational aspect about films.
Yes,
right. That Spike Lee, he, second film out, so brilliantly captures the tone and complex perspectives, and going towards such a fragile area and making. Not every film needs to be accessible in that kind of way, but to make a film that everyone can watch and take so much away from, no matter what your upbringing is, I think is something very powerful. It's
super educational when you consider particularly the fact that it predates Rodney King, so this is something obviously Spike Lee...
It's always been boiling.
It's always been boiling, something he knew was always... He either had happened, but didn't get certainly the notoriety of Rodney King or whatnot. Because kicked off a race riot.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things where it's like, obviously this man had the foresight and the intellectual capacity and the experience as a black man to know these things are real things that were either coming... I don't want to say it was forecasting it that it was coming, because it was probably already... it definitely already was happening before Rodney King did at the time.
I'm now, like, I edit the whole thing. Like, I edit every now. So it's not that like Spike Lee was a prophet. Something that I'm sure so many people, so many communities understood. This was such a problem that was building, for decades and decades. But there was still such another institutional problem that they never had the cinematic voice or platform to kind of make this bigger to a wider audience.
Oh, that's a great point.
And cinema has that opportunity to kind of get to all movie theaters.
Right. You have a black voice representing black voices, which is just something people aren't seeing. They're still not seeing very much of. So,
fun fact: the writer-director of Crash was a white man.
I know, Paul Haggis.
Paul Haggis.
Yeah, he sounds like a real piece of shit.
It's pretty cool when he exposed Scientology. That's about it. That's really about it.
I'm sorry. I really, when I heard that he wrote Crash to win an Academy Award. Not only does that come off as ungrateful, because it sucks because this movie's terrible.
It's true. But it goes like the exact gentrification that's going on, do the right thing of, I'm going to use your experiences, your communities for my gain.
Yeah, it's the Elvis Presley thing, man.
That's true. Well, Marty McFly invented rock and roll. That's canon.
That's canon.
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
Amazing film. This is one of the times like we start on maybe the best film. We'll go through them all, but this is one of the great American films.
Where did we start with Orson Welles?
Citizen Kane.
It was Citizen Kane.
So
this is great. This is one of the best films I've ever seen in my life. I can say that.
My girlfriend Sarah hadn't seen before, and she loved it, but she needs something that I'd never noticed before. There's not a single gun in the movie.
Huh.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that goes very deliberate on Spike Lee's part, and I think it's something that's so...
Well, give a little background on your girlfriend. I know she hosts another podcast, but this is coming from somewhere else.
As this recording, she works on the west side of Chicago as a criminal defense attorney who defends all these teenagers in one of the roughest parts of Chicago. And that is a community that she has kind of lived in personally for a long time, is really kind of good relationship with everyone there, and understands that's Chicago that I certainly don't know. really at all. And that was the first thing to notice, that there were no guns, whereas there are so many guns in West Lawndale.
Mm.
And I think the movie seems cleaner is the wrong word. Like this movie is, I think, because once you have guns in the mix, it becomes a whole different kind of story.
Mm-hmm.
And because I guess obviously Chekhov's gun, like literally, like if you see a gun at the beginning, you know something about to boil. Whereas this movie starts as a day. There's no like when Samuel Jackson on the radio, he's not like saying this is going to be the day it all goes wrong. No, it just seems like a Thursday.
Yeah, and you don't really. I mean, you realize the boil kind of in retrospect.
Yeah,
you don't like. There's not at any point in this movie where you think the end result of this is going to be Sal's Pizzeria is going to get burned down.
Yeah,
like you don't see that 5 minutes before that happens.
No,
which is again, I think, a testament to how great part of how great the film is sort of disguises where this is going in a very, very nifty way. When you look back in retrospect, you could say, of course this was coming. If Sal's Pizzeria wasn't going to burn down today, it was going to burn down tomorrow.
Yeah. And it's not like this is such a dangerous, terrible area. The movie makes you want to hang out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's such a warm, funny, clever, community that's going on here that is just kind of always butting heads and nothing's resolving.
And the characters are so awesome, too.
Yeah.
There's not a sense of danger or anything like that. It's just the community, and it's awesome. It's great. The characters are really cool.
I like them.
The mayor, man.
The mayor.
I love the mayor. We should probably say the mayor is. He's sort of like, he's the local drunk.
Yeah.
But he's like been on the street forever, so he's super wise, too.
I love when people have the one beer they want.
Yeah.
What does he want?
He wants the highlight.
He wants the highlight. That's it.
That's it.
It gets very annoyed when it's not there.
Well, yeah, at the Korean place.
And he buys the one. And then puts it in a bag.
Yeah, just the one. I love it. I love that scene. He's so angry about it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Sal likes him. Because Sal is very selective on who he likes and who doesn't. And he lets Sal get a couple bucks, but it's sweeping around.
Yeah.
But of course pisses off his sons.
Right. Well, son.
Just John Sturm?
Yeah, I think it's just him.
I kind of forget that they don't have opinions.
Well, I don't think the youngest son is... I mean, he's really good friends with Mookie. Mm-hmm. At least that's the impression you kind of get. And just also kind of too dumb to have any real opinion on anything.
Right.
But, the guy went on to do great things, like the Mario Brothers movie. That's what I recognized him from.
Who's in the Mario Brothers?
So there's the two thugs. One is the guy that's in Lost in The Constant, the ear bleeding guy. I forget that actor's name. Yeah,
Fisher Stevens?
Fisher Stevens. So one is Fisher Stevens, one is the younger brother. And they're the two. They're not Goombas because the Goombas are in the movie, but they're they're lackeys for Koopa. That
is one of the weirdest, worst movies. I like when a movie is so bad, but it's just so ambitiously bad.
Yeah, you can't believe each scene.
Why would they do this?
Exactly. It's shocking. Anyway, apologies for
Spike
Lee for ending on that, and apologies to that actor for saying that. So.
And apologies to anyone who saw Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, and apologies to that too.
To everyone all around.
Yeah, that guy's got kicked around the corner way too many times for some guy to bring it up on this podcast now too. So, okay.
Anyway, thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week with a review of Mo Better Blues starring Denzel Washington. Until then, you can check us out in many places, including artofmoral.com, where you can see all of our past episodes. Also, be sure to leave us a review on iTunes so it helps people find the show. We appreciate it. We're on Twitter at the Immortals Pod. Check out the other podcasts, including The Immortals and Ad Absurdum. Eric, where can we find you?
Constant Diversions, my YouTube channel. I am not on Twitter.
No.
I'll never be on there.
They don't want you.
They don't want me on there. I won't go on there.
Thank God.
What could I possibly add to that conversation?
I don't know. Plug this show.
Yeah, that's
probably about it.
I could probably do that.
That's fine. Anyway, thank you all for listening. My name is Austin.
My name's Eric.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Move! Tanner.
World.
Where you headed to?
I'm going to get a slice.
You going down the south?
Word.
I gotta make the deliveries and I'll check you back there, right?
On the rebound.
Bet. All right. Oh, shit. Let me check it out. That's the hype.
Newest, latest. Let me tell you the story of right hand, left hand. It's a tale of good and evil. Hey. It was with this hand that Cain iced his brother. Love. These 5 fingers, they go straight to the soul of man. The right hand, the hand of love. The story of life is this. Static. One hand is always fighting the other hand. And the left hand is kicking much ass. I mean, it looks like the right hand love is finished. But hold on, stop the presses, the right hand's coming back. Yeah, he got the left hand on the ropes now, that's right. Yeah, ooh, it's a devastating right, and haters hurt. He's down. Ooh, left hand, hey, KO'd by love. If I love you, I love you. But if I hate you,
there it is, love and hate.
I love you, bro.
Read Raheem, check the lane. Peace.